Hello everyone, welcome to this week's garden tour. This is going to be a brief video catching you all up on everything going on back here, and a lot has been going on back here. I first of all took out this rose bush. I don't think I told you. It did send me to the emergency room, not emergency room, I'm being dramatic. It sent me to urgent care where I had been on a 2-week course of Augmentin, strong antibiotic, and I had to go to a shoulder to hand specialist. I do have a rose thorn permanently stuck into my knuckle there. Still able to knit, still able to spin, still able to garden, but this is a PSA to wear work gloves when taking out thorny shrubs, and not just garden gloves. So that's done and over with. It cost me hundreds of dollars to take out a $10 rose from Home Depot, and I have huge regrets, but it was nice while it lasted. It was a huge amount of work and mess constantly, so I'm glad that it's gone. It did inspire me to purchase a pressure washer, which I've been keeping up on. The concrete has never been cleaner at this time of year, but all my grass is dead, and that kind of makes me sad because I had such nice grass last summer. It's just been very, very dry, and we have outside of the garden beds, we have very dense, hard clay soil. So with a little bit of drought comes dieback, and all that really has survived is the shadiest areas in the far back there, as well as the weeds, a few scraggly bits here and there. So I wonder if you have any advice for me. Is there some product on the market I should just sprinkle back here that'll soften up the ground and make it a little more permeable to our sudden downpours of rain? We did get some rain recently, so everything's perked back up a little bit. There's some grass still alive, but for the most part, everything is died dead.
That I literally died. I literally just died dead, and I couldn't breathe anymore, and so I died. Rest in peace, me. R.I.P. me. Hashtag.
And that's that. One of the most exciting things to talk about this week is that we built planter boxes. I am so excited. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them, and I'm going to link to the pattern to build these boxes below if you are so inclined. You do require some expensive tools, which we were able to utilize at Brian's parents' house. His dad has a whole wood shop full of toys, which are fun. But what I've been doing the last year or so is propagating plants, because that's my favorite thing to do. And one thing I do is I test the best place to do that. And so I had purchased a couple years ago now 2 strawberry plants. Put them in 2 areas. This was in a container in that area right there. In fact, that exact pot right there. And then the other one was in the shade of the raspberries, which made no sense. But anyway, it put on a couple new plants and it did survive. It just did not thrive. Whereas this one is sliving, and last fall I propagated my echinacea. So I planted my pink echinacea here, all of my new plants, and my white echinacea here, which are not doing quite as good, but they were a much younger plant when I started the propagation process, so they just need a little more time to catch up. And one of the reasons why I moved those perennial shrubs into these boxes here is that they get way more direct sun. So I'm going to hopefully get prettier blooms. Where they would grow really tall, and the blooms would be really pale and quite sad and undeveloped. So I'm thinking that in these areas they will kind of fill this negative space here, and I think that they might be a good companion plant. I'm imagining the roots are different depths, which is good when planting things together. But I knew I wanted the strawberries in these boxes. I think I probably could have put maybe ½ an inch more soil into these boxes, but I was pretty much using what I had. I didn't buy any new soil, just I have bought 1 bag of mulch here. I have a 2nd bag in my trunk still, and I topped off all my containers with mulch finally, which I should have done long ago, but man, these mosquitoes live in that mulch. As soon as I start watering my containers in the evening after work, I just get destroyed, and I'm being destroyed by mosquitoes right now. So I'm going to do a quick run through of all my containers really quick, because that is the one thing going well right now. It's the one thing I'm cultivating the most. So obviously I have my busted fingers, like a jump scare. I have my lilac shrub. I turned it a little bit. I think it'll kind of lean in the other direction more, but it looks kind of awkward now to me anyway. And we started some coleus from seed, so those are doing okay. And I pulled this boxwood out of the front yard where it was strugs to funk, and I gave it a really good prune up during there's a few cooler days back to back, and I'd trimmed that up. I should have done it long ago, but I finally found time. And then here, you might recall, I pretty much cut this all the way back, this rose bush, and I do need to like train it so that it has a bit of a wider center, because everything grew up through the center. This jalapeno is doing great. It has, you can see that the leaves are a little pale. It has been a little stressed. That container, you can tell, probably doesn't hold the most water, but this plant, like I said, I try to do the same thing in multiple areas to compare how they do. This plant's putting on a ton of fruit. We've picked already a few peppers, and I'll show you over here in the shade of our fruit trees, kind of, sort of. I mean, there's just a lot of different trees around. We have a jalapeno just behind this blueberry bush. You can hardly see it. It's right between the peach and the blueberry bush. It has flowers and some fruits, but they're quite small. And I have a red echinacea, which did put on flowers. I tried to deadhead it because it was stressed at the time. I didn't want the plant to struggle any longer than it had been already. But there is some, like, I'm guessing some kind of mite damage. Maybe that's just common this time of year. Maybe I should prevent it more. Maybe next year will be my year of neem oil. But my butterfly bush is surviving. I do see a lot of pollinators on it frequently, and it's been putting on little flowers, which I guess you'd expect after like it's done its first sort of bloom. But I've been cutting it back. I think I did just one cut back to make it a little bushier. Now that I'm aware that butterfly bush exists, I'm seeing more of them in people's gardens, and I better understand how the plant looks in larger size. I'm probably going to keep this one in a container here, again, because this area gets the most sun. It makes the most sense. So this bucket is temporary. It's just holding some plants I don't have a home for yet. But I have plans to build 2 new planter boxes. So this is the original plan that you find online, and these are the exact dimensions that they explain. I wanted one that was taller, so we just made it deeper, which is probably unnecessary for the plants that I have planted into it, but if I wanted, I could easily put a couple tomatoes in here, and I think that they would have far sufficient space for the roots. But this is the modified size that I made. So what we're gonna do is create 2 new boxes. One box is gonna go right here over this cat house, and it's gonna be as close to the dimensions of that one as possible, except that the legs will be longer, and that will allow it to sit on top of this cat box. So actually I think it's only gonna be 2 boards deep, if I'm not mistaken, otherwise it might be way too tall. So it'll be 2 boards deep, and then taller legs. So that cat house is gonna slide right underneath it, and I will be able to grow some herbs in that box there right next to the house. It does have to be 2 inches narrower along that short edge in order for it to fit closely. So that's the plan. And then, because these are, I think, 15 inches wide, so this will be about 13 inches, and then I'm gonna have another box that's about 13 inches right over here. Finally took this box out. It had been rotting away for years, and it was a bit unstable. Actually, it was quite unstable. The entire bottom of it had pretty much fallen out, and there was just dirt everywhere. So it took a while to pressure wash, but I have cleared the space. It's ready to go, and we're gonna build a custom box there. that's going to go over that pipe so you won't see it any longer. That's why I have that lava rock there, to obscure the pipe when there is a planter box in place. This heuchera, it looks very sad, but it's much happier than it was before. I pretty much uprooted the whole thing, cut back all of the crispy bits, and stuck it back into some fertilized soil. So it is in a state of shock, but it's going to bounce back, I know it. And I do love this little Alberta spruce here by the door. It's very cheerful, and it does obscure the vision of that gutter. So the peach tree, I can't even stand back far enough to show you how happy, whoop, that's my feral water bowl. But I can't even stand back far enough to show you how happy my peach tree is. We had tons of fruit on it, and every single one went to the squirrels, which is the least of the sacrifices I could make to them, because I'm pretty sure these cats that I care for have killed at least 3 this summer. So sorry squirrels, you get peaches instead of life, to sustain the few that remain. But that got dark. Peaches next year. I'm gonna save all of my onion bags from Aldi, and I'm gonna use some zip ties to wrap my peaches up around the stems to protect them from bandits. But I did relocate 2 hostas and a heuchera under this peach tree, because now that it's larger than life, it puts on quite a bit of shade, and I just wanted to clean this area up now that I was moving so many things up and out of it. So we're gonna have a little bit of a shade garden here, and all those things die back in the winter anyway, so when it's more of a full sun situation, they're not going to receive it, so that should be fine. But my Thai basil is sliving. I have so much Thai basil, I'm definitely going to freeze some this year. I still have a couple echinacea plants that I might just leave here or share around. Maybe I'll pop some in the front yard where I have a little bit of a dead zone. These blueberry bushes have been through a lot. I have moved both of them at least once since I brought them home years ago, and I think that this is where they're gonna stay. I just don't know. It gives sufficient space to plant beans that will grow up the trellis, but it's far enough from the peach tree, I hope it'll get space to grow. They are high bush varieties, so they should be quite large, but we have such limited sunlight hours that it's questionable how big they might actually get over time. I can't wait for the fall when I will trim back a few of these branches to walk along this path. I'm waiting until all the leaves drop off for a good reason, but I'm impatient. So this blueberry bush, this is one success story of our garden. I planted it here one time. It had some years of struggle, but this year it put on more fruit than ever. Again, I lost all of it to the wildlife here in Baltimore City, but you know, where else are they gonna eat? Oh, I forgot to tell you, I did pick up 2 bleeding hearts on clearance. They are framing the bird bath. I also pressure washed my bird bath. I cleaned every marble, and I planted 2 bleeding hearts, one on each side. One has died back already, the other is still doing great. Seems like someone is now mowing, so I should wrap this up. I am getting destroyed by mosquitoes too, but I'm gonna retool this space a tiny bit. It should hopefully look exactly as it does. But last fall I had planted a ring of snowdrops in the very front row, right amongst the heuchera. I regret it. I wish it was just daffodil bulbs back here. The heuchera that I have in that container over there that I'd really cut back a lot of, I'll fill in the holes here of the front heuchera drift. This is this week's garden tour. I want to thank you all so much for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and that you take care.